This is a public hearing on proposed regulations that will change the local tobacco sales regulation we have in the city of Lawrence. I want to clarify what these proposed changes will do and what they won't do. For example, there's nothing to do with smoking tonight. We're not proposing changes to smoking regulations. We're not trying to prohibit smoking. We already have a regulation that covers smoking in the city. Tonight, it's all about the tobacco sales regulation. That already regulates a lot of stuff, but we have to bring it to the level of the state regulation. So most of the changes that you see in that summary on the table deck, if you signed in to speak, or even if you didn't, you can just get a copy of the summary of the proposed changes on that table, as well as the actual proposed changes we're making. So when you look at those changes, most of those changes, this is just to bring the local regulation up to par with the state regulation. Most of the stuff that we are going to propose change, it's already been changed at the state law. So it's not like the board has an option. Well, I'm not going to adopt this proposed change here because I don't like it. If it is a state law already, we're already enforcing it. So the reason why we are updating the local regulation, it is so the board doesn't have a regulation that violates state law on the books. That's the main reason. There are other changes that we're proposing. Those are minor changes. They're mostly to facilitate, to clarify things, facilitate enforcement, make sure everybody's on the same page. Are there any burning questions before we start? Because I want to make sure that everybody understands what we're here for. So it's not a regular Board of Health meeting. This is a public hearing solely on these proposed changes. If you want to see what they are, they're available at the table right there. And if you want to address the Board of Health about these issues, only about these issues, you can't talk about anything else. If you want to address the board about these issues, you have to sign in to speak. Once you sign in to speak, we got the list. We're going to call that list so we can go to the microphone on that side and address the board. Make sense? As for the board, I just want to say the following. There's a packet in front of you. I have a similar packet in front of me, so let's go over what's in the packet for your reference. The first one, Dr. One, is just like about the hearing rules. You may want to decide how long you want each person to speak. I recommend a 2-minute length of time for each speaker. You're going to keep track of time here on this table. As people speak, you're going to get a 30-second warning, and then you have to wrap up your arguments, and then there's going to be another warning that's going to say your time is up. Okay? So Dr. Warren, so there's the rules of, suggested rules for running this meeting. Like I said, I recommend 2 minutes per person. And also you have in your packet a sheet of paper that's a summary of what we are proposing. On the left-hand side, there's a column that says issue. So this is what we are addressing. And then the next column is state law. This is what the state law says about the topic, whether it's already regulated or not regulated. If it's not regulated by state law, it will say under that column. On the third column, it says current BOH or Board of Health regulations. This is the current regulation. This is what we have in the books right now. And then this is, on the final column is proposed Board of Health regulations. These are the changes I am proposing. So it's a two-sided summary, so make sure that you see the other side as well. Right after it, we have the actual proposed changes. These changes, they come with a bit of a rationale as to why I'm proposing these changes. This is based on my work. For all these years, I've been doing tobacco control since 1999, worked in different regions. And this is this is a result of my going to stores, educating people about the local regulations and trying to help people understand what's expected of them as far as the regulations are concerned. So these are the proposed regulations. It says draft 1 because this is the only draft that was provided to this board. I provided this draft to the board, I think 3 or 4 times throughout maybe a year or so. And the last time it was presented to the board was on May 28th this year, at which time the board approved it to be submitted to the law department for review. It was reviewed by the law department. The city attorney said the proposed regulation is fine, didn't see anything wrong with it. So that's why we're here tonight. The next piece of paper is, it's called track changes at the top. This is the local regulation with the changes already included. But this 5-year track, you can see where they're changed. They're underlined, it's easy to see, it's easy to follow. What you will see is that, you'll see that it doesn't look like we have a lot of changes just by looking at the body of this track changes regulation. Next sheet of paper is suggested motions. The board will make motions hopefully later tonight. And so this will make the job easier. Somebody has to make a motion, somebody has to second it, and then you take a vote. So you know what we've done as far as providing notice to the public. There was a letter that was mailed out on November 21st to all retailers in Lawrence. The letter itemized the changes that we are proposing. At the top of the letter, we urge people to translate that into Spanish. I can't translate it into Spanish. And when we have proposed, when we have proposed regulations and language of regulations, translating them, a comma could change the whole thing. So I don't mess with that. So a letter was sent urging them to translate the letter, and the letter contained also the date and time of this hearing. In addition to that, we posted a legal notice on November 27th and on December 2nd on the Eagle Tribune. So we have copies of those here if the board would like to see. I think there's a copy of that in the packet as well. And that is pretty much it. If there are any questions from the attendees or even the board, I'll be glad to answer before we start.
Okay, why don't we begin? I'll call the meeting to order. This is the Lawrence Board of Health. We're having a public hearing tonight about the changes to the tobacco product regulations. As Cesar said, we're trying to bring our regulations up to being consistent with the state regulations and clarifying the definition of some of the things that are unclear. I'd like to reiterate the rules tonight. Any person wishing to make a comment tonight can sign in over here, and each person will have 2 minutes to speak before the board. Before addressing the board, you must read this. You must have read the summary of the proposals. Copies of it is available right over here. When addressing the board, you must first identify yourself by name, your address, and any professional affiliation that you might have that impacts your comments, meaning whether I'm a business owner, whatnot. Identify which proposal and what section you wish to comment on. Please limit your comments to 2 minutes so that other members of the audience will have a chance to speak. You will receive a 30-minute warning before your 2 minutes expires, and the bell will ring indicating your time's up. Please be considerate of those persons speaking, whether you agree or disagree. Refrain from commenting out of turn. Any person showing unruly behavior or verbal disrespect to those speaking will be asked to leave the premises. The hearing will adjourn approximately 1 hour. Now, I'd just like to reiterate what Cesar has said. There's no major changes happening in Lawrence. What we're trying to do is make our regulations exceptionally clear and be consistent with the state regulations. We're not making anything illegal that isn't already illegal, but we are clarifying the definition of certain things. And we'll be happy to reiterate and explain what those are. So if you think that the board is suddenly making all the products you sell illegal, we are not. What is illegal is going to continue to be illegal. And we're not making new things illegal. Is that correct?
That is partly correct. Let me give you an example. The sale of a pack of cigars containing fewer than 4 cigars. Let's say a 2-pack of cigars or a 3-pack of cigars. The sale of these products have been illegal in the city and in many municipalities across the state since 2014 here. Since 2014. But those products continue to appear in the stores. So this proposed regulations, in addition to Reiterating that, it's also saying that the mere presence of these products now in the stores, just like we have in the state regulation. State regulation says you can't sell flavored tobacco, but if the flavored tobacco is there, even though you haven't sold it, it's still a violation. We're doing the same thing to be consistent with the state regulation. We're saying that the presence of illegal products in the store is by itself a violation.
Is anybody signed up on the list to speak?
Nobody has signed up to speak.
Nobody? Anybody have any comments? We'll take you at random. Anybody can ask a question. It doesn't have to be a comment. Preguntas. Necesitamos preguntas para que entiendan bien lo que estamos haciendo aquí.
So there's one, we have it interpreted in Spanish.
Ustedes-
Right there.
Okay. How you doing? Sí.
I believe most of you are here in regards to the issue of the blood wrap, the definition of the blood wrap. So I think some of you are here to speak in regards to that, so please feel free, you've made it all the way here. Let me hear your opinion. You are the seller, you are the small business of Lawrence, so it's very important to hear your voice. So please, give me your opinion.
Yes. But before you address the board, and then specifically, let me just clarify what this proposed regulation would do for blunt wraps. The sale of blunt wraps is already prohibited in the state since 2014. It's nothing new. And the state regulation prohibits the sale of tobacco flavoring enhancers. And like, for example, are you familiar with Natty Wraps?
Yes.
Natty Wraps? Well, Natty Wraps are a tobacco flavored enhancer already prohibited under the state law. We're just clarifying the local regulations to make it clear that people understand that. So if you have something that's made out of marijuana, for example, or a similar product, like a wrap like that, and then it has a flavor, it is a tobacco flavored enhancer. According to the state regulation, we clarified that in the proposed regs. Go ahead. Do you want to go to the microphone? You probably want to sign in to speak because we have a record of who spoke.
I don't have to go, I can speak clear.
You can speak loudly.
No, you can be your problem. So my question, first of all, my name is Marlene, I'm coming from Golden Supermarket. So my question tonight,
You want to use, that way he can listen to you better.
my name is Marlene Gomez, I'm coming from Golden Supermarket.
Yes.
So my question tonight, it would be, so technically you're adapting the state law to Lawrence, technically, so basically what I'm seeing from one side to another side, because one thing that I see is, in Lawrence, the fee were, 100, now we're gonna go to 1,000.
Exactly. Having
So
the-
technically, for one mistake that we made, instead of paying 100, we're gonna be paying 1,000.
You're already paying 1,000. I mean, there's
So what
no,
then
yeah.
my question would be then, why the Lawrence law says 100, but we ain't paying.
And that's why we have in this hearing, the regulation is outdated. The state law was passed in 2019 saying that a fine of $1,000 for first offense, $2,000 for second offense, and $5,000 for third offenses. While the local regulation still reads 100 to 100, 300, it's outdated. So we can't enforce 100 to 100 here because we violate state law. We have to bring it out to the state law.
So technically, all the regulations gonna be adopted from the state law, regardless if we're gonna.
We can do more than the state law, but we cannot do less.
And then after you guys, complete all the process, we're gonna be receiving what can we sell. I know it's there already, but more clear to us, because sometimes it's gonna be confusing, because when you go to Boston to buy or order cigarettes, they technically sometimes they'll say things to you, but, they say, well, because in New Hampshire is one thing, Massachusetts another, and then sometimes we get confused.
Right, well, thank you for the
I'm
question.
saying it's like, it's better,
If-
it's more clarification to us.
Right, if the board adopts the regulation tonight, there's going to be a letter that's going to be mailed out to every retailer clarifying what has been changed. However, we won't be able to do much more than what you saw in the first letter, providing notice about this hearing. However, we're going to do visits And you're gonna take those visits as an opportunity to ask questions about things that you don't understand about the new regulation. We're gonna review the new changes with every retail store. So we're not gonna go and, I'm guessing the board is gonna pick an effective date that's maybe 2 months in the future, or maybe 3 months. But, so there's gonna be some time for us to go to the stores, educate everybody, give you a chance to ask questions in case you're confused about something. But one thing we cannot do, we cannot provide you with a list of legal products. We can't do that because the tobacco industry comes up with new products pretty much every day. Every time I go into a retail store, there's new products there. So when you order a product from Boston, from anywhere, you have to do your research. Make sure you're absolutely certain that the products you buy, they are legal in the city of Lowell. Not illegal in the city of Lawrence. Not legal in the state, legal in Lawrence. Because some products can be sold at different cities, but they can't be sold in Lawrence. There'll be my phone number in the letter, and when I go to visits, you can also have my phone number, you can ask me questions, and that's how you can implement it.
Anybody else?
Please second. Please second.
Okay. Stephen, you got another?
Hello, how you doing? Steve Gill, Vice Chair of Board of Health, 8 Boyd Street. The only issue I had, I came up to express my opinion, to come up the board. One of the issues I have, the proposed language of blood wraps. I believe it's going to, how it reads now, or how it's read in the future, any product made wholly part of tobacco manufacturer or package with loose or removable leaves or sections of leaves, or a hollow tube may be used to consume, to consumers to wrap or contain loose tobacco or other fillers. I do not agree with the proposal. I feel that it's going to take a few stuff off the shelf. I believe that falls into the category of backwoods and blood wraps. I know that is a definition that's loosely used, but as I understand in my community, it takes about 30 or 40% of the tobacco sales, and I feel that the small business will be hurt by taking out that product. Thank you very much.
Just a point of clarification, so I'm going to address what board member Stephen Gill has spoken about. We already have a definition of blood wrap. The reason why we propose to change is because the tobacco industry, the companies, they are tricking you retailers. They'll write something, for example, this is a pack of cigar. You open that cigar, it's a fake cigar. It's a leaf of tobacco rolled up to look like a cigar. I can give you an example of a company that does that, but I'm not singling out one company. Other companies do it as well. That's why we have this proposed change. It's a problem. The company Fronto, they have a product called cigar, one cigar. It's a big, thick cigar. You open it up, it's not a real cigar. It's just a leaf of tobacco rolled up to look like a cigar. That is a blunt wrap. That's illegal in the city. You see, so another reason why we modified the changes to how we define these things is because natty wraps, because they are made out of, it's not marijuana necessarily, it's, what is it? It's one of those, it's related to the marijuana plants. And because it was flavored, some people across the state were a little unsure as to whether, if that product was flavored, it was a legal product because it's made out of hemp plants. Hemp. So the understanding from the State Department, the Massachusetts Department of Public Health is that is a flavored product, and it's covered under regulation. So we clarify that under the local definition. So blunt wraps, just to recap, it's a problem. That's why we're proposing the changes. And Fronto is not the only company that does this. When you open some of these products, you open it up, you can pull squares out of what appears to be a cigar. You pull a square easily, several squares. They can roll out marijuana and other things. And that's why it was prohibited to sell to begin with. And that's why we are proposing the change, because the current language doesn't allows for the company to exploit this loophole.
Can I hear from some of the retailers about what you sell most?
Please, I can.
They both.
I did.
He signed and he did it.
Come on up.
Hello everybody, my name is Hashim from the Hookah Tobacco Audio. Well, first of all, I would like to talk about the Fronto. I believe this manufacturing company is established here in Mass in 2015. I don't know, since you said 2014, you guys not allowed to sell like this.
No, we did not pass a local regulation because of one company. We passed regulation because there was a problem.
Okay, I have another question about the same product. It's a leaf, so there's not like nothing, no tobacco, no any flavor inside this leaf. So why you guys trying to not sell this in the market?
Well, it's already changed. What we're proposing is a redefining, clarifying the definition. So if you think it's wrong to regulate it, it's already regulated for many years. What we're proposing tonight is not to implement something new, is to clarify the definition so companies cannot exploit it to push these products that are already illegal in the city.
One more thing is, so to answer his question regarding to the most selling item in our store, so we are like as a smoke shop, not like a grocery store as the others. We depends a lot on like plants and cigars and the paper. So that's gonna really affect our business.
Well, I can address that because I know your store very well. You're a tobacconist. You call it a smoke shop, but technically it's a tobacconist or a vape shop, right?
Yes.
And you have a humidor filled with cigars. Those cigars are fine. Now, when you go to companies that are actually exploiting a loophole in the current definition to push those illegal products here, that's a different story. And you don't have a lot of those. When I go to your store to check it, you don't have a lot of these products. You have Game cigars, the cheap cigars. You have maybe Dutch Masters, but I don't recall right this minute that you have a ton of Fronto products there. So this won't affect how you do business. You still have your cigars, you still be able to sell your cigars, the expensive ones that are in the humidor, and also the cheaper ones that you have behind the counter.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Corey Palmer. I work on behalf of Cumberland Farms. I managed that location over this past summer. I just wanted to go over about what the sales, what we do over there, and what that impact does as far as backwoods goes, or the games.
Well, by the way, backwoods are legal and games are as well.
Sure, but I'm just saying like what it does for our business currently. Yeah. So when I do the check-in, because I do all the receiving, I do about 10 to 15 cases of backwoods each week that we get receiving for that, as well as with game. And not only that, when people buy that product, they buy milk, they buy all the hot foods, groceries when they buy those products as well. So that could impact our business if those were taken away. And I do have a question. Is the Zyn considered like a tobacco enhanced flavor?
No, but Zen was, well, some Zen products are still legal to be sold. And
Yeah, like-
they're all legal to be sold here in the city, by the way, right now.
Right.
But there's a growing concern across the state about some of these products, Zen products.
Like would Zyn Chill be considered an enhancer?
No,
Okay.
not at this time.
Okay.
But there's other concerns about some of the Zen products.
Okay.
A Zen product, so for the board says that, you know, it's a dissolvable, or it's a pouch you put in your mouth.
Yes.
It contains nicotine, but it doesn't contain tobacco.
Yeah.
But some of these are suspected to be flavored, that's all.
Okay. That's all I have.
And just reiterating, I mean, you can still sell your games or your backwoods, so long as those products they don't have those flaws that I described.
Okay. All right.
And not many of them do.
Okay. Thank you.
What is Game and what is backwoods?
All right, so Game is a brand name of cigars, cheap cigars. You can buy a pack of containing 4 cigars for $5.31, $6. It's very cheap. Those are legal.
Can't they just unroll them and use them as butter?
They can't. because they're properly,
People do, don't they?
not these products. The wood do the ones that are exploited by the companies.
I don't think you're knowledgeable about this subject.
What I'm saying is, if you take a game cigar, you try to unroll it, and if you take a frontal, one cigar, and try to roll it, it's a completely different story. One you just go like this, the other one you have to work at.
People are pretty skilled at.
Right. You wanna sign in, please?
Come and sign in and speak. Come on.
Because we have to have a
You sign
record
in?
of everybody's
No, no.
story.
He's on it
I
first.
just need a clarity.
Well, you come sign and then he will go up. Because he already
Can you
signed.
go to the microphone? Yes. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Just a quick clarity I need from you here on the backwoods. Under the new definition of the blunt wrap, will backwoods be taken off from the shelf? Yes or no?
You have to open it up to see.
No, as a retailer, I'm just asking you like.
I don't know because there's too many products. There's too many products.
Backwoods was a big share, like all the retailers know that, we sell a lot. And I would like to comment, based on just for the frontal king, we are defining the whole definition for the entire blunt wrap.
No, I just used that as an example.
No,
I
I'm saying-
said in the beginning, we're not gonna single out one company, but I have to give an example. That is an example that most people know, that company.
If you're
But
right.
any cigar that will fit the definition will be prohibited from being sold. Only those are actually, the companies are exploiting that flaw.
How good, as a retailer, we would know that whether backwoods falls under that category or not?
Can't tell you, you have to research it, you have to open it up.
So,
We can do it this way, I go to your store,
yes.
okay? You open a pack. If it's a good product, I purchase it. If it's not, you gotta find. I mean, you gotta have to, if you don't do your research beforehand, that's where we're gonna be. So you have to research before you order the product. And some of these products, the problem is, you could have a product that's legal today, it's illegal tomorrow. Let me give you an example. How many of you are familiar with, the brand name Game for cigars, but Green? Who remembers Green? Green used to be non-flavored. One day it became a flavored product. It has to be taken off the shelves. So the companies will do that all the time. It's a fight that it's unknown. That is why I cannot tell you, I cannot provide you a list of legal products, because those products change from one day to the next. And I cannot tell you whether this particular company, all the product line, would pass muster. Some backwoods products may not pass, the definition. They're still a blunt wrap, we're just making it clear, it's still a blunt wrap, if they don't pass it. But most backwoods products are fine.
They should be fine, okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else?
I just have a question. Are raw papers would be considered blunt wraps? Because you can get those like. Just have a question here for, did you say the language?
Raw paper,
Are raw papers considered blunt wraps?
if it is regular paper, it's not a blunt wrap.
I have a question. Are blunt wraps legally sold in surrounding communities?
Blunt wraps cannot be sold in the city.
Surrounding communities?
Yes.
I know the law you can't sell that in Little either, but I don't know which communities actually have that particular provision, but a lot of the municipalities across the state do have similar provisions for blunt wraps. But by the way, these
Are blunt
definitions,
wraps,
let me just, I'm sorry before I interrupt you, let me just say this. I don't create these definitions, they are created by the state, by a collegial coming of the minds, all the tobacco control programs across the state, we come across similar problems, we come together, and then we determine, hey, this is a problem not only here in Lowell, not only here in Lawrence, but also all of these other places. And then we start to create language. And we create language that is checked by other attorneys to make sure that we don't bring something here off the cuff to the board. So I did not create that definition, the newly approved definition. It's a definition that's being submitted by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health as a model regulation. So when you go to look at the model regulation, if the city doesn't have any tobacco regulations, if they want to implement a tobacco regulation, you have a model regulation. And that model regulation, we have this new definition for blunt wraps.
my question, blunt wraps aren't illegal in the state,
It's not correct.
not illegal in the state.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think, my opinion, and this is not my opinion, I mean, obviously, there's still a lot of questions, a lot more questions than answers. And we don't want our retailers to be so confused when they buy their products that they feel they're at risk for stiff violations and suspensions. I don't think it's fair. To say you have to do your research but it seems like the landscape is incredibly confusing about you buy a product you think is legal and it turns out to be illegal. I'm a little uncomfortable with the fact that our blunt wrap municipal local law is different than the state law. Let me just say, my goal and my most important focus as chairman of the Board of Health is to prevent the sale of tobacco to minors. That's really what I see as our mission. And that's why we have been applauding the state laws for stiff fines and suspensions for people that don't ask for ID and sell to minors. And we're going to continue to be very strict with no compromise if your staff, employees sell tobacco products to minors that's under the age of 21 in the state of Massachusetts with no ID. You can be assured that we're going to follow through on that. I also am very uncomfortable with flavored tobacco products. Flavored tobacco products should be illegal in the state because they basically cater to young people.
They are illegal.
They cater to minors, they cater to young people. So the presence of flavored tobacco products in your establishment is illegal and you will also be fined. I think that what I'm sensing from the board, but I won't speak for everybody, is that the blunt wrap thing has created a lot of confusion. And, you know, now that the sale of cannabis is legal in the state, you know, a lot of young people do roll their cannabis in tobacco leaf. Pretty much the most common way these days in young people. I feel like the local law might be a little antiquated. And I think Stephen would agree. I don't want to see, you know, my front yard littered with blunt wraps like they were before we made them illegal. And I don't know what the ultimate solution is. The law as it stands is you can't sell blunt wraps. But redefining and making more confusion, I think it's creating more questions than answers. And I don't really feel that comfortable with that part of the proposed changes.
Dr. Board, may I address that?
Yeah, you can address it.
Briefly. The intent of the changing the definition of blunt wraps was not to make it more confusing. That is not what is confusing. What is confusing is the industry. When I say to people when they come, because I issue the permits myself in Lowell, I cover those two cities, is that selling tobacco is a dangerous enterprise because the industry changes the rules almost daily. So it's tobacco control programs like this one here that actually try to level the playing field and try to protect the public from the exploitation from these companies. So the sale of blunt wraps is already illegal in most cities in the state of Massachusetts. The changing of the definition is to make it clearer. If you can easily pull a square of, if you open up a pack of cigar, a single cigar, you can easily pull like, you can see those are squares.
Listen, we have the current local Board of Health regulations, which I'm going to read, and we have the proposed regulations. And they don't seem any different one from the other. Any tobacco product manufactured as a package or packaged as a wrap or as a hollow tube made wholly or in part from tobacco that is designed or intended to be filled by the consumer with loose tobacco or other fillers. The proposed regulations, any product made wholly or in part from tobacco, which is basically the same thing, or packaged with loose or removable leaves or sections of leaf. What is different between a tobacco product manufactured as a wrap or hollow tube and one that is manufactured packaged with removable sections of a leaf to be used for the same purpose?
The difference is on the fake cigar, those removable leaves are just like you can easily pull them out. All right? So that's how the industry has adapted to
Is
us.
that what
like they
people are
work.
buying?
It's
They're gonna
faster
use
to
the-
roll up.
Yeah.
So instead of you taking 5 minutes, it'll take you 2.
You see what I'm saying? So it's a blunt wrap disguised as a cigar, and that's what we propose in this change. As you said it correctly, we're not changing too much of the definition. We're just including that to make it easier for you to identify. If you can easily pull something like a square of paper, or it is a big leaf of tobacco, clearly is it.
So when you find those in these establishments?
What's that?
When you find those in, what do you say?
I educate them
Right now.
about it. I educate them about it.
Can't sell it?
Yeah, this is a blunt wrap to sell these products that's been illegal since 2014. I don't find them generally. For me to find a store for something like this, the person would have to be warned once, twice, and then you still do it deliberately. And some stores just have actually included some of those deliberate violations. But those are rare. Usually what you see before you, Dr. Gorin, in hearings are people that sold tobacco to minors or sold flavored tobacco to
Well,
minors.
that's what we're here to prevent.
Right.
I really personally don't care about what as long as they're not flavored and they're not being sold to kids.
It's that you
We're gonna buy 'em.
You could go to Methuen and you could get flavored tobacco products.
Not flavored, not legally.
I mean, I've gone to Methuen stores and I've seen.
Which one?
It's got to be illegal under the state law.
And they have blunt wraps in Methuen, which is 5 minutes away from Lawrence, which takes the business away from Lawrence and brings it to Methuen, which also affects the business. How the guy from Cumberland is saying that you have a customer that'll come and buy a blunt wrap or whatever, but they might buy milk, they might buy cereal, they might buy something else, they might buy some munchies. So if we can't sell a blunt wrap, we're not, most likely not gonna sell the milk, we're not gonna sell the munchies. So it's gonna hurt the business.
I would like to see all blunt wraps that are legal, that are not flavored, to be able to be sold. I feel it's going to hurt our small businesses if we start eliminating those products.
Well, they're already limited, it's a question of unlimited.
Exactly.
That's not what we're here for.
So this has been the status quo for many years, 10 years.
Yeah, but there's a whole bunch of products you can go to Methuen convenience stores and buy that you can't buy in Lawrence products.
But a lot of them are probably illegal.
Huh?
A lot of them, it sounds like, are probably illegal in the state.
How is it illegal in the state? If Methuen's in the state.
I know, but they're selling them illegally,
Illegally,
they're
yeah.
flavored
Would-
products.
Like here,
Would-
you can sell it, but that doesn't mean it's legal. No, I'm pretty sure I've seen it over the counter plenty of times.
Well, if they're flavored tobacco products, they're illegal in the state.
I mean, at least the blunt wraps. Now, I haven't seen too much of the flavor
No, I
tobacco,
believe
but the
blunt
blunt
wraps.
wraps, definitely.
Yeah, no, I totally understand.
Would Backwoods be considered a cigar that you can easily take the leaves out of?
He asked the question, or somebody else did, behind you.
Okay.
My answer was, I don't know, because they have different lines of products, so you have to.
So could someone just come in and make a judgment if this was enacted and say, hey, these can be easily taken out?
Only if you open it up.
I'm just trying to understand what exactly specifically would be considered to easily take leaves out of the cigar.
On a real cigar, you cannot easily unroll it. You
Yeah.
have to work at it. On a fake cigar that has book wraps attached to them, sometimes it's just one big leaf of tobacco rolled up, sometimes it's just a square they can easily pull.
I mean, someone could I'm sorry, someone could just take a razor on a, I'm just throwing this out there. Someone could just take a razor and just cut a piece of the paper on the tobacco and still easily take the leaves out and still re-wrap it. I'm just saying, like, I don't think it would make much of a difference.
The difference is, we've been making it possible for cigar companies to sell cigars.
Yeah.
For you to sell cigars. Because that argument, I think it's a flawed one. You can just cut any real cigar.
Right, and then you could tape it back together is what they could do.
Right, so my stance, Dr. Gordon, is that this is a stronger regulation, it's a clearer regulation. And as far as clarity is concerned, I think on this particular issue, the blunt wraps, that's already been the regulation in the city since 2014, is just make it clearer. It helps you. Well, how do I know this is a fake cigar? You can easily pull a square of tobacco out of it, that's a fake cigar. That's it. Have you signed in to speak, sir?
I'm sorry, I haven't, I can.
Please sign in.
Sorry, I just got to.
If you decide, if this board decides, for example, to make it legal to sell blood wraps, this board will be going against what everybody else is doing, or most boards of health in this state is doing that. I wouldn't present this here if this was something that's coming out of just in my mind.
Somebody else gonna speak?
Yeah, so my question, maybe,
You want to listen? Speak your microphone, right?
sorry, apparently, I'm the one, that's the one, right? I think my question goes towards the clarification of, you said that blunt wrap is in violation if it's beyond 4 packs or under 4 packs.
No,
I want clarification.
No, you're confused. We're talking about two different things. A pack of cigars in the city of Lawrence, you can have a 4-pack, 5-pack, 6-pack, 20-pack. It's fine. You cannot sell a pack that contains 2 or 3 cigars. And you can't sell single cigars. I mean, this is the way it is. A blunt wrap is something different than a cigar. It could be a blunt wrap just like a wrap, or it could be a cigar disguised, I mean, a blunt wrap disguised as a cigar. And that's what we're trying to attack here.
So I think I'm gonna go with the gentleman with the comment right there. Backwoods is a cigar, it's not a blunt wrap.
Some of these products are cigars, some are real cigars. If you open it up, listen, I'll make you a deal, just sit there with them. If I go to your store, if you say, no, this is a legal cigar, I say, okay, open it up. If it is a legal cigar, then I'll buy it. If it's not, you pay a fine. Would you take it?
Yeah, sure.
So we have a deal.
But who defines if it's a legal cigar or not? I guess.
Right. It seems
that's
arbitrary.
gonna be my-
It's not arbitrary. The reason why we have this clarification, Dr. Horn, is so it's not as arbitrary, or at least it doesn't appear to be arbitrary. If people can easily pull a square, I could demonstrate if I had one here. It's not something that's difficult to determine. If it is a fake cigar, you can't see it just by opening it up. A real cigar, you have to work at it. So what they're saying is like, well, it's almost confusing. It's not confusing. When you open a fake cigar, you all know what a fake cigar looks like. You know these products exist. You smile because you know. And the only reason I use that name of that company is because it's a company that everybody knows. And they push these products everywhere. And I'm trying to combat that.
So second point of that, so I understand we're defining blunt wraps, assuming blunt, is blunt similar to weed? I want to clarify. Or is that, sorry, I need a clarification.
A blunt wrap is just a leaf of tobacco, like a real leaf of tobacco rolled up. Well, it doesn't have to be rolled up, it can be just like squished, like frontal products, they have like one that's called a leaf, right? That's a blunt wrap. But it could also be like a brown paper, that in the fabric of that brown paper has tobacco. Those are hard to find, and it's hard to determine. So if a company makes a product, it's like it look like brown paper, I won't be able to determine whether it has tobacco in it or not. But if you can pull a leaf of tobacco easily from a fake cigar, that's a clear blunt wrap, and that's what we are modifying the definition. So at each one of you can easily determine. It's not going to be me determining it, you can determine it.
So we've been selling cigars for 10 years, 15 years.
You can still sell cigars.
Those are fine. We are clarifying, or I'm classifying cigars backwards by the speed.
What I want to make clear is that this is not something that I put you on the target as a target. The companies are the target. So if I go to your store and I find a product that I suspect is a blunt wrap, when you open it up, I confirm that's a blunt wrap. I'll let you know that's a blunt wrap. You maybe didn't know, so you're not going to get a fine because of that. But if I go there 3 times, same products, and you're still selling it, it's because you're deliberately doing it. At that point, you might get a fine. So this is not, it's just to get these products out of the stores, not to penalize you. It's not the purpose.
Sorry, I'm still on the spotlight, but other question I have is we sell raw papers. These are used for weed wrapping, blunt wraps. Where does that fall into place?
If they are regular paper, you can sell it. If they have flavor, they're illegal.
The same thing, you could pull
How
out,
about if it's hemp?
pull out a leaf right from the wrapper.
If it is hemp, unflavored, you can sell it as much as you want.
Organic hemp, no problem. So we don't see raw papers being banned because of this.
No,
Because it is a
rolling
blunt wrap.
papers.
Exactly.
A regular rolling paper is legal for you to sell. You have to ask for ID according to the state
Raw
law.
paper is not a blunt wrap refers to a wrap that has tobacco.
Blunt wrap would be any blunt rolled in whatever, that's.
No, when people say, let's smoke a blunt,
Right.
they're wrapping it in
Thank you.
leaf that has tobacco. Not like I'm rolling a raw paper.
But you, when you say you're gonna smoke a joint, you still have to roll it. And still,
You can roll it in a paper and that's not illegal. You
But
can't.
it doesn't make any sense, you still roll it, regardless of, whatever
Not
way you're
rolling
rolling
it.
it, regardless of what way you're rolling it, you still have to smoke, whichever way you roll it.
What's the reason to change that?
Well,
The
we're not
reason
changing.
why the only thing we change is we make it clear for you to determine by
Let's do this.
yourself
I have-
what a blunt wrap is.
I have, listen, this requires more discussion. We're gonna start making motions to adopt the language on everything except for blunt wraps, okay? So, we're gonna work on this, to continue to answer questions, and I promise we'll come back to this. But, I'm sorry, Caesar, we're gonna have to put the blunt wrap redefinition on the back burner.
That's fine.
So you can continue, nothing is changing regarding your wraps. What's illegal now is still illegal, but Caesar, I think he's a fair man, and when he comes in, you can ask questions. If you pull something out and say, is this legal or illegal? You should ask questions, because over the next 4 to 6 months, you will learn. If you're buying a product that's illegal, he'll tell you it's illegal. He's not gonna find it. He will educate you. That's what we're here to do. If in 6 months we revisit this and said, this is crazy, all these products that we really need, that we sell a lot of are supposedly illegal. But if you find that the products that you sell predominantly are cigars in 4-packs that are legal for no less than $5, then we're good. But we're not gonna change anything regarding the blunt wraps, okay? What stands in the regulations now will continue to stand. And it'll allow us time, it'll allow you time to ask Caesar questions about products that you think you wanna stop, that you have questions about. And don't fear asking the question or asking his advice, because he will tell you what he thinks is legal and what's not illegal. He's not gonna say, oh, I gotcha, that's illegal. This is a period.
Sometimes we do that, but.
Well, this is a period where we're gonna be a little lenient, and it's gonna be a process of education, and for not only you to learn, but for us to learn as well. Yes?
Sorry, it's me again. Can we, if we do decide this, maybe it might be best to give us a list of products that.
Impossible.
It would be lovely if we could, but every day there are new products, so it's like.
And by the way, the state has tried that. The National Association of Health Boards created a list years ago. I don't remember this, Dr. Gore. It was a list of flavored products that were flavored, or not flavored. It was a list to help people, retailers. They couldn't keep up with the list because there's new products every day.
I can understand when you go to Chelsea, you go to Cash and Carry, it's mind-boggling, and they might not be able to give you the right information. So let's let everybody relax a little bit about the blunt wrap thing. We'll do a 6-month period of education, and we'll see where we stand. Is that cool? Okay. So I think, any more discussion? If not, we're gonna start making motions. Okay, so we're gonna jump to, past the blunt wraps, we're gonna jump to cigar sales regulator. We have the current language. Do we have to read it?
No, you can just, you can just read the motion the way it is. The only thing you're gonna change about the motion is about the blunt wraps.
Where's? No, we're not talking about blunt wraps.
Right. So when you make a motion to adopt a regulation, you can exclude blunt wraps.
Okay, but are we making a motion to adopt the read each single one?
No, we just make reference to it. That's a simple
Okay.
motion for you guys as well, Dr.
Why
Moore.
don't you make a motion,
He has it.
if you're willing to? Make a motion to, yeah, got it.
I move to adopt to propose the amendment to the regulations of Lawrence Board of Health restricting the sale of tobacco products as contained in draft one minus the blood wrap, which are approved by the board for submission to the Lawrence City Attorney on May 28, 2024. So the motion is to set the effect date of proposed
Wait,
amendment.
hold on. That's a separate motion. So you have to, somebody has to second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
So the new regulation is passed. Now we have to have a
New
motion
regulations
for
passed
effective
minus
date.
the blunt wrap.
Minus,
Okay, we're all good with that? Thank you. Okay, next.
the effective date.
I move to set the effective date of the adoption of the amendment of the regulation of Lawrence Board of Health restricting the sale of tobacco production to products to, what's the date?
You can pick a date,
January 1st.
2025. Second the motion? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, the motion, both motions carry, minus the blunt wrap redefinition. And please, we urge you to use him as a resource. You have his phone number, you have his home address. No.
So the letter that you received has my phone number, please use it. It's better to call ahead than wait for me to come do an inspection. But I try to be fair, most people here know me through the years. I can point to one here that I know, Mohammed. I'm not a gung-ho kind of guy that goes and find people left and right. I want to educate you first. And then if you decide that you're not going to follow it, that's a different story. But no, we're not here just to penalize people. We're here to educate you and to counterattack the exploitation by the tobacco industry. Dr. Gordon, I don't have a clean copy minus the blunt wraps for you to sign tonight, so I'll have to revise it, and then I'll contact you guys for signature.
I appreciate your assistance. And thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you very much, all of you. Board.
Could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Second the motion. All in favor? Okay. All right, well, have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
All right.